are live. We are recording. What's new?
Nothing and everything.
Uh-oh. I'm sorry I asked.
Right?
Nothing and everything. Everything,
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know why we're here today, right?
Yes, headlines.
We're going to talk about market headlines and keep this light. It's been a busy week already. I
It's
feel like it's
only
been a busy week.
Wednesday. It's only Wednesday.
Bad Bunny.
Right?
I must be honest. I don't know anything about Bad Bunny, and the first time I saw him was at the Super Bowl. So,
Seriously?
yeah.
You need to call your girls back
Well,
home.
everybody knows, but I don't. I don't listen to the radio. I don't watch TV, so I don't know those things.
Oh,
Like,
you're too
it's
good
not
for
my
that.
genre. No, just it's not my. It's not my genre. But in any case, I got up to speed.
Okay. You
Okay.
know he was house before he was popular, right?
Okay.
Yeah, he is featured in the house tracks before he was popular.
Okay. I'll have to go back to the early stuff then. That's
Yes.
my vibe.
Right.
All right. So today we're talking about headlines.
Yes.
So we're going to give you a little update on what we're seeing and what's actually happening out there. So let's dive into the first one. The first one's from the Canadian Press, and it talks about the average asking rents. So rent prices in Canada are down 2%, and this is the 16th consecutive month of rent decreases in Canada. Rents in January fell to their lowest level in 31 months.
Right.
The Canadian Press goes on to say that this improves affordability, but also a reflection of shrinking unit sizes. What are your thoughts?
Shrinking unit sizes.
Correct.
So, in terms of, I can't speak for all of Canada, but this article does. In terms of where we are in the GTA, yes, rents have been going down, but they're
Yeah.
still high. So I'm not sure if that makes sense to anyone listening out there.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me because I'm in the industry. Um, I'm currently right now out with a client looking for a one bedroom condo in the Yonge and St. Clair area. And we're looking at anywhere from 2,100 a month plus all utilities to 1,900 a month. So there's a big spread there. Again, that's all utilities have to go on top of that. So, what are we talking square footage? Less than 500 square feet. Some of them don't even have a bedroom, like it's a studio apartment.
Yeah.
You know, I get that Young and St. Clair is on the higher end, but you are seeing it pretty much all over. Is that is that what a studio apartment should go for in the GTA? You know, earlier last year I had a two bedroom in Pickering that we had gotten 3,000 for 3 years ago, and last year we were down to 2650, twenty-seven
Yeah.
fifty to get it sold.
But like even when you say that, it's down to 2650. Like when they put these articles out, they're talking about and I'm quoting them. This improves affordability, and then it goes on to say about the unit sizes, affordability. So I mean, I'm working with a client as well in the Beach Hill, Upper Beach area who's going through a bit of a life change and looking at large 2 and 3 bedroom rentals. I was shocked at, I mean, the bottom basement is 2,800 and we're going up to $3,300 a month after tax.
Right.
And I sat down and did the math. Like, even at $3,000 a month, you're looking at $36,000 a year after tax. So pre-tax, you're probably in the $55,000 range,
Mm-hmm.
just on rent.
Mm-hmm.
So in the same article, you're talking about affordability. I'm still struggling to understand what part of this could be affordable to a normal Torontonian. Like
Right.
you really have to be making 150 grand just to rent this place,
Yes.
right? So if a landlord is going to sit there and crunch the numbers, as opposed to being in a sort of softer market where they're like, geez, it's been vacant for 5 or 6 months. I need to get a tenant. I need to be a little bit more relaxed and lenient. If you really crunch the numbers, I mean, you need to find someone who's well over $120,000
Yeah.
in order to justify how you're going to do this. On top of that, you've got, like you said, the utilities. You got to pay your own income tax. You got to have some savings. You got to feed
Yeah.
yourself, like car payments,
Internet.
gas. Like
Internet. Yeah.
what?
All of those things.
This is still really pricey in my mind. But average asking rents are down. That's the headline.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
We're gonna put a pin in
I
that
think that's
because
debatable. I
yes.
think, and from my experience dealing with investors, I had investors from wow, way back, like 2008, 2009, and investors from, obviously local, but US and even in the Middle East. I've had, clients come over and, buy up units and then rent them out. And then eventually their kids would come and go to school here.
Hmm.
Like the numbers were much easier to manage.
Absolutely.
I could not imagine someone needing, and again, these rents are sort of a cost plus calculation, right? From a
Hmm.
landlord perspective,
Yeah.
what are their carrying costs?
Right.
Then they tack on a little extra.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they're asking 3,200, their carrying costs must be fairly significant, right? Like their carrying costs are well over $2,500 a month at that
Yes.
point, which leads to another article later on that we'll sort of circle back to. Any other points?
No, I mean, yes and no. Definitely, you would have to make sure that it's a cash flow property, right? If you were an investor. But I'm finding that there are less investors out there willing to purchase, even at a lower value, these condos. So,
Well, and you can understand why. I mean, it's not when you say cash flow. I think that's a broadly used term
hmm.
with these because there's so many novice investors involved, right? So they're basically looking at, hey, will this cover if I rent it out? But they don't really look at downtime, like vacancy,
Hmm.
right? So for every month you're on the market, let's say for easy math, let's say you need or you rent your unit for 2,500 and you've gone 4 months without a tenant. That's $10,000 gone.
Yep.
But that $10,000 has to now be balanced against your cash flow. So if you're making $200 a month cash flow,
Hmm.
which in the city of Toronto is pretty good, right?
Hmm.
You're lucky for breaking even. If you're making $200 after everything is said and done, the tenant pays their rent, everything is covered, and there's a net effect of plus $200 in your bank account. You're doing okay. So now take the $10,000 loss divided by $200 is the number of months it would take to get back to flat.
Hmm.
At that point, you might as well just throw it away and be like, "No, I'm done. I'm out."
Yeah.
Right? So I can't even. I don't even. Let me do the math. Five. That's 50 months.
Hmm.
It'll take you to get back to recapture the $10,000 and then make it just flat. So you have 4 years before you can correct that 4 month gap.
Right.
What? No,
That's a lot of time.
bruh, no. That doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
None. Right? And you have novice investors who are playing this game. It's no wonder they're losing.
Yes. I mean, in defense of the novice investor, so back, because I've been through it and this is how I know to speak to it. Back in the day when we had our condo and interest rates were low and we had already built up equity in the condo. We used some of the equity to buy a single family home.
Right.
We kept the condo because interest rates were low and we figured we could rent it out and blah, blah, blah. So, as an investor goes, would I have done that had the interest rates been higher? Probably not.
Hmm.
Am I glad I did it? And some days yes, some days no, to be honest. And I feel like there are a lot of us out there in that situation.
Yeah.
So
Well,
just
let me ask one question before we jump on to the
hmm
next topic. Then, going into it, what was your goal? Was it monthly cash flow or price appreciation?
it definitely wasn't monthly cash flow. I wanted to be able to break even, like my mortgage and my maintenance fee.
Right.
That's it. That's all I wanted to do was have them pay that, and that was my landlord experience.
Yeah.
So we were planning on keeping it for as long as we could. We are
Right.
planning on keeping it for as long as we could. But, interest rates have gone up, mortgage has gone up, maintenance
Right.
fee keeps going up and up and up.
Right.
So,
And
we have to rethink our plan.
yeah, and that goes exactly to my point is that
Hmm.
the cash flow isn't really a thing.
Not these days.
It's the price appreciation on the value of that property that you
Right.
bought that you're hoping for. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to get a tenant to carry the cost. So you buy it at A, get
Hmm.
someone to carry the cost so it's not costing you anything, and you're
Yeah.
hoping to sell it for two times A later.
Yeah.
That's really the goal.
Hmm.
And I think, if that is not moving in the right direction and you're not breaking even, you need to have a backup plan, which I think a lot of the novice people don't really have. So, like, for
Right.
instance, on top of your own bills, your tenant leaves, you can't find a new one, on top of your current bills where you live, of what you're doing in your life, do you have the bandwidth for another $2,500 payment every month after tax? Most people be like, maybe for a month or two.
Hmm.
But I like, I can't make this a regular thing. Like,
Yeah.
for that you can go out and buy a Porsche.
Yeah.
And most people don't have a Porsche because they don't have the extra 2,500 to throw away. And if they did have it, they would put it in, savings for the kids' schools or a retirement plan or
Hmm.
something, right? And I think that's a challenge. But let's move on to the next one.
Okay, moving on.
So, GTA average home price is now under $1 million. So it if I understand correctly, it was approaching or just about 1.1 million
Yeah.
about a year and a half, 2 years ago. Thoughts?
Thoughts.
Or shall I read? I'll give you a few more points. So this
Give
is the
me.
first time in 5 years that it's dipped below $1 million.
Hmm.
Home sales are still on the decline in terms of number of properties sold. So I think part of the challenge for people looking at this as just a homeowner, not being in the business, is that they see home sales are on the decline and they're thinking dollar amount versus volume. This is
Hmm.
speaking to volume. One of the caveats here that I've noted is that this refers to the average price of properties that actually sold, and that could be skewed. So we're talking about January 2026 numbers.
Right.
So my gut feeling is that that average price has to do with who is selling, why are they selling, and what product are they trying to get rid of.
I agree. I absolutely agree with that. So that is just detached homes, do we know, or
It's just residential, so it doesn't
okay,
dig into all of
detached
the
or
details.
condos or
Right.
semis.
Right.
Okay.
And so even
And
the old data spoke to that too, just the average price. So they made
right.
it, very vague. So I mean, like,
Yes.
if Drake sold his $100 million mansion, obviously that would skew something. But is
Right.
it reflective of everybody? No. No.
And that's part of the problem with analyzing this data, or sorry, putting the data out there, it needs to be analyzed, and it needs a professional to analyze it, because people are only reading the headlines. Ooh, the average price of a home has gone down under $1 million. But if you're in the beaches, if you're in Riverdale, if you're in any of those areas, I'm gonna say Young and Eglinton area, all of those areas, it's not under 1 million.
No. And it hasn't
GTA
been
is
for
a
a long, long
wide
time.
expanse. So is
Right.
it Durham that it's under 1 million? Is it Brampton that it's under 1 million? Like, it needs to be analyzed by the professionals, which is, yeah, most people don't take it to that level. They're just like, okay, it's under 1 million.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's an interesting metric, but I think it's way too broad to take it at its face value.
Yeah.
One of the things the article goes on to say, according to Ipsos, nearly half of prospective home buyers this year will be first time buyers. So I think that's a good sign, is
Hmm.
that like first time buyers are able to sort of get off the sidelines and purchase. And again, I think that's more indicative of the affordability phrasing, I guess, for lack of a better term, that we heard in the last article. This actually speaks to affordability. But I think if you're a homeowner thinking, oh my God, I've got to sell at a steep discount, I think you have to look at this with a grain of salt.
Hmm.
What kind of product do you have? Why do you need to sell? Timing also plays, like very rare. Like we've had in terms of weather, January has been horrible.
Horrible.
So I mean, if you're selling in January, I would say this is probably not the best market to sell. Like it hasn't bode well for anybody trying to put a property out. So,
Yeah.
if you could wait 3 months, this number would be, I think, for you specifically, not as the whole, but you specifically could fare much better.
Right. I'm going to say not much better, but a little bit better. And the reason why I'm going to say that is because, okay, fine, January was terrible weather wise. It was cold and it was snowy. And we haven't had that kind of a January in quite some time. But also, if you're putting your home on the market in January, and a January that we just came out of, it signals some kind of, I'm going to say, desperation to sell, so
Hmm.
that the people who don't necessarily have to sell, it's all about perspective, right? Do you
Could be,
agree?
could be.
Okay.
I don't know. I just think that, yeah, I mean, that it's a broad headline. But like, does it lead anywhere? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't
I
think
agree
so.
with that.
I think the people who, again, like you said, if your house is already valued at 1.5 million or 2 million, the reality is you are probably more insulated from the economic ups and downs than the person in the 400 to $600,000 condo, who could potentially be a single income, single person affected. So a minute a job change or something happens, it's like, uh-oh, right? That's different. So I think that can skew the numbers. But again, this headline sort of gives the impression that, for some people, they've lost value, right?
Hmm.
They feel like as a percentage, oh no, I've lost 10-15% of the value of my home, which is not entirely accurate.
Right. And that's what I was going to ask you your thoughts on. So we have different types of people who would be interested in selling, let's say, right? So
Mm-hmm.
at whatever point in time it is, let's say that this person, I'm going to say person A, is a senior. She purchased her home back in, I'm going to say, the early 60s.
Yeah.
And the home has kept up. It's been kept up, so it fares pretty well. But are you looking at the price that you want from 2021, 2022, or are you being more realistic in terms of what the market can give you now? You know what
Mm.
I mean? We
Yeah.
have a lot of people out there that, oh, I want 1.7 million for my house, but that was back in 2021, 2022. It's not worth that now. It may be worth 1.3, 1.4, but you
Right.
also didn't lose any money because, do you know what I mean? I'm not
Yeah.
sure if I'm explaining that properly.
No, you are, and that leads to, I'm going to jump ahead to another article that we
Okay.
found. Power of sale listings
Mm-hmm.
spike across Ontario. So one of the points that were in this article that kind of caught my eye is that they made mention that many of the cases of these power of sale listings trace back to risk taking in the ultra low rate period from 2020 to mid 2022.
Right.
So go back to your just that description you gave of that person saying, I want X amount that I thought I could have got in that same period,
Mm-hmm.
2020, 2022. Clearly, those were overinflated numbers at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be able to ride that out. So, there's cause for, mounting financial strain on that group,
Mm-hmm.
mainly because they can't get back. So let's say they paid 1.7 during that period. Life happens, something's changed, there's a job loss or something going on. Now you need to sell. That getting that 1.7 today is going to be a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
You might get 155,
Yeah.
right? And so that 150 is sort of what these people are sort of panicked about because they're in the short term game. Now go to the scenario you gave with the elderly homeowner who's been there for, I can't even do the math now, from the 60s to now is like a
Yeah.
long time, 50, 60 years, right? They've made their profit. Their equity
Mm-hmm.
is solid. So to nickel and dime at that point, really that's a personal judgment call.
Yeah.
Why are you selling? Where are you going? And when do you need to have this done by?
Mm-hmm.
That's the criteria that person needs to think about. Of course you can get your number, but you may have to wait 10, 12 years. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what we don't have a crystal ball. If I
Right.
did, I'd sell them, make a fortune. But we don't have those. All we have is the playing field and the market that's in front of us. Those are
Mm-hmm.
the data points we work with,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
So yeah, interesting. But I'll give you a couple more points from the same article. So according
Mm-hmm.
to CMHC, mortgage delinquency rates climbed, and I believe this is just in Ontario, from 0.13% in early 2020. So this is just as the pandemic is starting.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's nearly doubled to 0.24% in late 2025.
Right.
So again, go back to the title. Power of sale listings spike
Yeah.
across Ontario. So
I
it gives
yeah.
it gives this fear. So we're
Right.
talking about, we're still, even with this quote unquote spike, we are still less than a quarter of 1%. And
Right.
this is a reflection of what people did in 2020 to 2022 when they were speculating, borrowing money, trying to, make some dollars by, buying up properties that they didn't really have any business getting involved in.
Mm-hmm.
It goes on to say that people, stretch their finances too far.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
that seems to be the case. But that only comes to light when what do they say? Hindsight is 2020.
Yep.
Like, yeah, of course. Now
Yeah.
now someone knows. So
Yeah. You know, what I think about the whole thing is, okay, headlines spiked. Numbers show, did it spike? I mean, is that what we're really calling a spike? This to me
okay,
is clickbait. It's
yeah,
clickbait.
it is, and I
Um,
think it's fear mongering too. Like
yes.
I think if you saw that, you would panic and think, "Uh-oh, could I be one of those?" Or
Mm-hmm.
conversely, you could be like, "I can go out to the market, and the minute you see someone who does a slight price reduction, aha, I'm gonna, keep them from becoming a delinquent,
Right.
person that's going to fall into a power of sale, so they need to take my offer. Sort of. Maybe they're just moving because of the, job, or, changing location, or
Mm-hmm.
downside. There's all different reasons.
I agree. I absolutely agree. I think that yes, there may be deals to be had out there. However, the term power of sale needs to also be defined as it is not what goes on in the US. They still have to be sold at market value.
Correct.
So, and they have to compensate the seller at whatever point it is. It's not going to be the same. You can't think of it as you're going to be getting a deal. That you
Right.
may be getting a deal per se, but it's still market value
Yeah,
as opposed to the
they
inflated
still
price.
have to aim for market value, and there's different reasons for that too. Like power of sale, way back in the early days, basically just meant if the house was $500,000 and me as a lender, I'm still owed 100,000. I just want to cover the 100,000.
Mm-hmm.
But where it got problematic is that homeowners left and right of that property went and complained and said, wait a minute, you're not out to get fair market value for your property. So now
Mm-hmm.
my property, which I've paid up, is now completely devalued because you've not tried to get market value.
Right.
That's the issue. And I'll just read a description because I'm not sure if everyone understands what power of sale means. So, power of sale
Mm-hmm.
happens when a homeowner can no longer pay the mortgage and the lender can take ownership of that property and sell it.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not the homeowner themselves that are selling, right? It's not some, guy sitting in a dimly lit room with a candle, like, oh, I'm broke. I got to get rid of this thing. And they're desperate. This is
Right.
actually handled by the bank, by the lender, by the organization that has taken ownership of this. So you're dealing with, instead of going from consumer to consumer, now you're dealing with business to consumer. It's a
Mm-hmm.
whole other entity that is
Mm-hmm.
dealing with this. So you're not going to be able to just run them, into the ground and get a great deal.
Mm-hmm.
This is someone's business now.
Yeah.
This is a completely different set of variables. There's not an emotion attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not trying to save family heirlooms. Like they're beyond that point.
Yeah.
Just an aside. So in Ontario, we're at 0.24% delinquency rate. What would you think the current rate is in the United States of America currently?
Wow. I didn't do any research on this,
Oh,
right?
that's why I did it. That's why I
Yeah.
did it.
Put me on the hot seat. So the entire United States? I'm gonna say 32%.
32%. Like 32% of the population is delinquent?
Mm-hmm.
No. That'd be like a third of the country has lost their
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
No. No.
No?
At 32%,
You don't think
we're
a third of the country? Well, have the
no.
answer, but
They're at 3.99%.
that's pretty good.
No. You're no. That's terrible.
I was
That
joking.
means that's like 1 in 20. No. 1 in 25. My math is
1 in
off.
25.
1 in 25 houses are basically delinquent.
Yeah. That doesn't
Like
go on
that's
here. That
that's
doesn't
not
happen here.
good, right? So
Okay.
you have a street with 100 houses, 4 of them are power of sale. They're delinquent. They're
Right.
behind the eight ball. Like we're at 0.24%. We are vastly different. Like
Yes.
that is a huge gap. So yeah, I don't even want to do that math. One, two, three, four. Yeah, they're like 16 times worse.
Right.
That's not even, that doesn't even like compute. Like, and that's only talking about homes.
Mm-hmm.
That does not, like, you watch American TV every once in a while. Those repo shows where they steal the
Yeah.
guy's Ford F-150 or take it, sorry, repossess
Right.
like that doesn't include on this list. And I would assume those items are even higher than the home.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a huge delinquency issue south of the border, but we'll leave that to them.
Uh-huh.
All right.
What
But
else you got?
CMHC rental housing is driving new supply. So new construction projects are basically zero, nil,
Right.
right? At least in Toronto, it is not happening.
Housing
But
starts.
housing starts.
Right.
So the condo market is absolutely zero. The freehold residential homes, I don't see much action either. But purpose built rentals continue to be the main source of new housing supply.
Mm-hmm.
And when I read that, I was like, oh, yeah, of the condo looking starts and projects that I do see, they are all purpose built rentals.
Yes. Um,
Hmm.
completing right now, we do have condo projects completing,
Yeah.
but starting, there's nothing. Um, purpose-built rentals, are they going to work? Because some of the builders turned the condos into purpose-built rentals. Now, for me, it's a matter of square footage. When they were building these condos, they were geared to investors. An investor doesn't really care about the square footage. They don't really care about the layout. Let's say I've gone into condos where, you know, yes, the bathroom is right close to the front door, but the bedroom's all the way on the other side. Like, if you have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Hmm.
So layouts should be better, but again, they turned these condos that are into purpose built rentals, which they will get people renting them because of we need housing here. We need housing. It's a
Yeah.
necessity. But does it make sense? I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I think like you go back to the question of why. Why did this happen? I think a lot of these developers were able to capture land. They have access to the trades, and they're sitting on a lot of cash.
Hmm.
So they can ride it out for 25 years. So as long as they, can bring in some sort of rental income that, on their bottom line of their income sheets and balance sheets and cash flow and everything else makes sense. If you're sitting on $100 million, you can make it work. I think the point then becomes, as a consumer, an end user, or a renter, does that product suit you? And
Hmm.
I don't think builders and investors really care. I think as long as it's rented out, not my problem. And we
Right.
see that in the resale condo market as well. Like
Hmm.
the older condos had a sensibility to them. The newer things, I'm just like scratching my head.
Yeah.
I don't get it. You get to the door of the condo and you see nothing.
Hmm.
There's a hallway that goes about 8 feet, and then it jogs to the left about 12 feet, and then it goes to the right again, and
Yeah.
then there's a small window and another small window and a tiny kitchen, and then there's a bedroom, and then there's another bedroom with frosted glass doors, but it's
Yeah.
not really a bedroom because it's stuck in the middle of the unit.
Yeah.
And there's a door and a closet and a bunch
Hmm.
of plugs. So there's one usable wall. Like there's no common sense that I see in these things. And even as I scratch my head, like I said, I went to see some rental units last week. 3 bedroom, $3,200. The layout was dark. It was sort of somewhere between a cave and a maze. Like if you
Right.
put the two of them together, that would be this condo. I got a notification yesterday from the agent, the listing agent. Oh, offer is pending. They have an offer that's come in on this rental. I'm like, why? Like who? I don't understand. And
Yeah.
when you see something that's good, and it you get a notification that it potentially could go, you feel that, oh darn. This one I was like, what? Why?
Yeah.
I was shocked. I can't
Yeah.
imagine someone paying $3,200 to live in there. But clearly, I'm old. I don't know. I don't get it.
I agree with that old thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm right with you. Like the one bedrooms I'm looking at, if it doesn't have a bedroom, I'm not taking my client to see it. And a bedroom being like, yes, it could have the frosted glass, right? We know our budget is low. That's what we desire, and she needs to be in that location. She'll save money on the TTC by being able to walk to work. So I get that, but I don't think she should be in a studio apartment like that.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, moving on. I got a couple more.
Moving on.
So these ones will go fast. So commercial real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are interested, some people are not, but I think it's a good indicator of something. So more Toronto firms push back to office mandates on employees. So a lot of people are being forced to go back full time, 5 days a week in the office.
Yeah.
And that's been sort of increasing. I guess the government as well had made a push at the end of the summer
Oh yeah,
saying
yeah, yeah.
employees back in you go.
January 1st.
Yeah. So, with commercial properties seeing dropping prices since COVID, big firms are coming in and snatching them up. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, I think they already came in and snatched them up, and getting more space because they have the money to do so.
Mm-hmm.
But total investment in Toronto's commercial properties this year could be the third highest volume on record at over $56 billion.
Yeah.
That's just Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly, someone is seeing something that the rest of us or people, who work from home would be like, nah, it's never going to happen. Clearly, there's a push towards that,
Right.
right? So they're seeing it and they're getting these properties. Third highest volume on record. And
Mm-hmm.
we're also talking about, so these are commercial offices and
Yes.
towers and,
Towers
and commercial
downtown. Yes.
buildings
Mostly downtown.
that are being snatched up. And I want to just compare that to the sort of impending trade war, or the trade war that we're in, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So the Bank of Canada also put out something that, and in their article, they declare that the worst of the trade war has passed. Ripple effects remain to be seen. So it's interesting that big companies are spending huge to get office space when we are looking at a time when every topic is about the impact of a trade war, economic downturn, the use of AI to strip down your workforce and have less people. It's is that really the case though? Because I
Yeah.
like, if we follow the smart money, what are the smart business people doing then, buying $56 billion worth of property in Toronto?
Mm-hmm. This
Interesting.
is very interesting. It's a bit of a push and pull, a dichotomy, because ye-
Sleight of hand, I would
yeah,
say.
well, we
The
don't
world's terrible.
know.
The world's
Looking
terrible.
at the
We take,
headlines,
yeah.
the headlines are saying that these big companies are buying up properties like downtown Toronto so that they could rent them out to
Mm-hmm.
these businesses that are mandating their employees back to work.
So they must
So,
see something. There must be
right.
something on the horizon for this to
Right.
happen.
But also the headlines are saying there's a an economic downturn and the ripple effects will not be felt for at least another 6, 7 by maybe the end of this year, because the Kuzma
Hmm.
is coming up for renewal in June, I believe.
Yeah.
So there that one is huge because we know how the US is acting towards us.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it is a thing, but what I would say positively is, and I'm not a big person in terms of politics. I've never really followed it immensely or relied on it heavily. I just look at the big, broader macro picture of things. But one thing I will say is I am very much more confident and happy with Carney at the wheel than I can remember. I don't remember the last person that I could say, "Wow, that's optimistic." Like this, I
Hmm.
feel like he has a good handle on things, and even the amount of work that was done. I guess in the end of 2025 and then leading up to Davos, like the
Hmm.
amount of deals and things that are on the horizon. Yeah, I understand, Doug Ford and the concern for the auto industry,
Hmm.
but these changes should have happened so long ago. Like
Hmm.
we have the capability to make electric vehicles here. Why are
Hmm.
we still worried about building someone's obese Ford F-150? You can only sell so much of them to our market. We're serving someone else, being the U.S. We need
Hmm.
to start building things that we have skill set at, that we have the ability to do, and aligning ourselves with China. 10 years ago would have been sort of strange, but looking at how the U.S. has acted with their sort of back and forth, sort of seesaw approach to us. Like, if you don't do this, we're going to take away that. Like, we
Hmm.
can't build our economy on that kind of whimsical approach to government. It doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
right? So I'm happy that that is coming. And another thing, as an aside, can you imagine? You remember when Barack Obama was running and he was talking about windmills, clean energy, all these things? Can you imagine if people just like took color out of the picture, took his middle name out of the picture, and actually just did what he said,
Yeah.
where they would be today?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if they had the capacity to build clean vehicles and batteries and AI
Hmm.
supportive materials? And now that we're looking at AI and they're all concerned about, oh, how we're going to do it? All we make is, you know, gas powered this and, diesel and coal. Like, bro, you got to keep up with the times. This is not
Yeah.
making sense to me. I don't get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I mean, I do definitely agree with you on some of the points that you made. But the other thing I was going to say is I've not, typically, I'm not a political person. Yes, I watch the news every night, blah, blah, blah. But um, am I more dialed in now? Absolutely. Am I more tuned in now? Absolutely. I need to be able to speak to and have an opinion of the situation that's happening currently. So, um, will I continue after the next 4 years? Probably not. I'm just saying, like, but it does affect me what I hear. It affects me greatly. Did I know anything about Kuzma before all of this? No. I mean, I heard about it, but you know,
Yeah.
let's stop.
Yeah. Okay. Last one. Quick,
Hmm.
fast.
Oh, there's
Canadians.
more.
There's one more. One more.
Okay.
Canadian seniors feel financial pressure supporting family.
Hmm.
So, for a growing number of seniors, financially supporting family has cut into their retirement savings. 76% of Canadian seniors, these are the ones that are actually providing financial help, not all seniors.
Right.
76% of those seniors that are helping their families say that it is affecting their retirement savings. They're already on fixed incomes. 36% of seniors are considering part time work to manage higher costs. 75% of seniors, this is playing into what we talk about,
Hmm.
75% of Canadian seniors own their homes, totaling around $2 trillion dollars in home equity. In Canada, 2
Yeah.
trillion. So
Yeah.
let me put that in perspective. That's $1 trillion dollars more than the valuation of SpaceX. That is almost on par with the valuation of Amazon worldwide.
Wow.
So the risk really isn't in the real estate, it's in the seniors outliving their liquid cash savings.
Right.
So when they're talking about going out and getting a part-time job or feeling the pinch, it's not because of their homes.
Mhm.
These homes are paid off. This is secure equity. So
Mhm.
now it's a matter of, well, I only have X amount of liquid dollars that I can help Janie and Bobby and grandkids and whatever. And that is where the stress is coming from. And I think that is exactly the same stress that the generation down is feeling, right? You
Mhm.
have a home, you have a job, but your liquid cash is a struggle.
Right.
Going back to cash flow
Mhm.
is a struggle to come across. And if you've
Mhm.
got any major bill come in, you've got a health concern, you got to take 6 months off work, your kids got to go to university, and you don't want to deny them that opportunity. Where are you going to get, if they're not staying at home, where are you going to get the $25,000 a year extra to send them to school? Like all those things add up.
Mhm.
Thoughts?
Um, it's the unknown, right? It for me, I look at it this way. The unknown is how long are you going to live for? So, you're a senior. You don't know whether you've
Oh, I
got
thought you meant I was a senior. Like what?
okay. I'm a senior.
No, you're
You
not.
have you don't know if you have another 20 years or 30 years to live. So if you sell your home now and you get, let's say, 1.5 million, maybe 2 million for it, because because you no longer have a mortgage on that home, so you've got 2 million. Do you give to your kids and your grandkids 1 million and you try to make that other million work for you over the next 20, 30 years? Is that what we're saying? And that's why I look at it as the unknown. I don't know how much longer we have. I don't know how much longer I have. And I need to
Right.
be able to, yeah, I get the fact that my lifestyle will change. So I don't need to drive every day, so there's less gas. I don't need to get dressed up every day, so there's less money for wardrobe, but there's money other things need to pay for. Like, I still want to entertain myself. I still want to get together with friends. I still want to do things,
You still need to eat.
travel.
You still need to
Eating
eat.
would be the last thing for me, but travel. I still want to travel. I still want to see places in the world that I've never seen. So where does that money come from? And I think that's where people are feeling stressed.
Yeah, and the point that why this sort of caught my eye is because you're looking at $2 trillion in home equity. So you're looking at people, and specifically the seniors, who again go back to the very first episode we did. The whole premise was this demographic is house rich, cash poor.
Hmm.
Now they're trying to stretch that limited cash even further to take care of another generation or two below them
Right.
who are also in the early stages of that sinking boat.
Hmm.
It's enlightening to see $2 trillion in home equity.
Hmm.
Like, I, I, I would I would like to know how that fares, like on a per capita basis, against other countries, and especially the U.S.
Hmm.
Right? Like Canadian seniors are much better off, I would assume, than most American seniors. Like going into that retirement phase, they've got this to work with. So
Yeah.
is it perfect? No, but it's there. And to find vehicles and tools that can allow you to tap in and share that. So one of the things you said was, let's say just for basic math, you could sell your property for 2 million.
Hmm.
Let's make it more realistic number. Let's say it's 1 million.
Hmm.
What do you do with that 1 million that can support you, your kids, and possibly grandkids? It can't just be cash
Hmm.
because cash disappears. So
Right.
I'm no, if I gave my kid $200,000, like their lifestyle will not adjust.
Hmm.
They will be like, oh, and I'm like, why are you wearing a Cartier watch? Oh, because you gave me 200,000. Now I just need to know the time. Oh, why do you have a Tesla? Well, I need to get to school. Like it doesn't add up. But
Right.
if you took that same amount of money and put it into something like an investment or a trust or
Hmm.
something, that will That will create real change.
Yes.
That to me, so when I look at that 2 trillion and I think about it, like, wow, that is a massive amount of money that even if the world does turn upside down, there is wealth in there that if people had a way to utilize it, it would be, green grass and rainbows and
Hmm.
sunshine and the whole different dynamic going into the next generation or two.
Yeah.
But I don't know everything, so
Hmm.
hopefully
I
it
agree.
works.
I agree with that. Yeah. Put it into something. So,
Yeah.
okay.
On that, that's the market news.
Market news. Market news.
Well, as always, if anybody has questions, hit us up, put a comment, let us know
Yes.
what
Comment.
you like, didn't
Comment
like.
and subscribe.
Mm-hmm.
You forgot to say that part, Gregory.
Oh, sorry, I didn't write that one down. All right.
All right.
Thanks for
Cool.
watching.
Cool. Cool. See ya.